as I talked about a few days ago with Lenny Dykstra, a good friend of the show, hasn't been the best year for the Phillies on the field. Well, at least the San Francisco Giants actually have more losses now. But off the field, tough couple days. Very tragically, Darren Daulton is not doing well in his long battle for years against brain cancer. And then yesterday, the Phillies, basically for PR reasons, canceled the induction of Pete Rose onto their Wall of Fame, which was supposed to happen a week from Sunday. And I have another member of the 93 Phillies, right fielder, Wes Chamberlain, joins me from Chicago. Wes, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Okay, well, I guess people just want to know what you've been up to since your playing career in the 90s. Maybe you can fill us in a little bit.
I've been just an entrepreneur, private baseball and softball instructor, doing some financial investing on my own, and I also wrote volume 1 of my biography called titled "In the Game."
Right, and people can buy that on Amazon, right?
Yes, it's an ebook. It's an ebook only for now. I haven't had a chance to really market it the way I would like to, so I put it in ebook on Amazon, so people can go to Amazon, select the Kindle, and read it. Yep, or the author page, which is weschamberlain.com.
I may have to do that myself. Now, you grew up in the Chicago area?
Yes, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I used to walk Comiskey Park. I grew up on 37th and Cottage Grove in Ida B. Wells.
And so were you more of a White Sox fan than a Cubs fan growing up?
Well, yeah, you could say that because of the simple fact my first major league game was at Comiskey Park in the grandstand seats. But I used to watch the Cubs on television. You know, back in those days in the early 70s, there was a big, highly racial split in Chicago. So a lot of minorities were not really. I mean, you can go up north if you lived up north, but, you know, technically, you know, you kind of stayed in your own neighborhood. But
Comiskey was pretty geographic, too. Yeah.
Yes.
So I think Greg Lazinski, another great Philly, was a White Sox fan, but I guess a lot of the Polish people lived in the western suburbs of Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And so they were, or the southern and western suburbs. I don't know. I'm not from Illinois. I'm from Philadelphia area. That's why I know the Phillies pretty well. So 2005 was more exciting for you than last year, and probably 2008 when the Phillies won it all was even more exciting for you, would be my guess.
Well, I mean, I'm happy for the alumni that had that, you know, that elusive, 10 years, I believe it was, before, since the last time they won in about 83. So it probably was longer than that. But, I mean, just to be a part of it, and just for the organization itself, my fellow teammate was the general manager, Ruben Morrow Jr.
Right.
So, you know, and a lot of guys who were still in the organization. I mean, you know, to get to the World Series is a dream. To make it to the Major League is a dream. And then just to win it is, you know, it's a dream come true. So, I mean, yeah, I was definitely happy for the organization.
And I imagine you're very busy this summer with baseball camps up in Illinois. Just that's how it works, especially in northern states.
Well, technically, I mean, this year I haven't had a lot of baseball camps. I mean, I had baseball camps and golf camps kind of joined together. But this year it's just been pretty much a lot more golf, and which has been awesome because I've been getting out on the links, and I'm enjoying the game of golf more and more. I'm getting back into the swing. It's been like about 20 years because I used to do it in spring training. So the last 3 years I've just been piggybacking back on it, and my game has been coming around.
Can we ask what your handicap is right now?
Well, I think right now it might be about a 40.
Okay. We'll check in with you in a few months, a few years on that. Okay. Now the news with the Phillies. Let me ask Phillies, Darren Daulton, it's been a tough time. I'm just wondering if you can share some of your memories of him as a teammate.
Well, Dutch, you know, we called him Bubba. And Dutch, he's the captain of our team. You know, he was what you call last of the Mohican. He played with Schmidt and all them guys. He was around, you know, he came up with them. So it was, you know, he pretty much had, we as a team had pretty much of a collective old-fashioned brand of baseball. You know, just get on out there, get after it. We take care of it on the field. We didn't, you know, talk, you know, trash to anybody. We talk trash among ourselves. It's challenging us. among us as teammates. But as far as the other team, Dutch was kind of no nonsense business approach, and just say, hey, no popping off. Let's just get on out there. We know what we can do, and hey, we just prove everybody else wrong, and just let our game speak for itself.
One thing I love hearing about, obviously as an outsider, about the Phillies clubhouse is how it was loose and you really made everyone feel included. And I'm thinking in particular about the guy you platooned with in right field during '93, Jim Eisenreich, who had a serious case of Tourette's syndrome. And I just remember Kruk saying to him, the story was, hey, we're all crazier than you are. And it was just, from what I've heard, just a really good environment for someone like that.
I didn't know Izzy. I knew Crucky because I was there for the 2 years, my rookie year. And Izzy, Milt, and Enke, those were the guys that picked up as free agents. And, it just fitted right on in. I mean, because the tone that Dutch set, it was Dutch, Lenny, Crucky, and, everybody just fell in line. It was. Just like how you said it. I couldn't add more to it. So we kind of just followed the Dutch lead and just find out that it's, the state that he was in. I seen him at the reunion. He looked great. He was awesome. He had his strength. And I haven't seen him physically, but the last time I saw him, he was Dutch.
And one of the toughest players you've ever played with, I'm guessing?
Yeah, man. Baseball is a game. And Dutch, Jimmy couldn't get him out the lineup. For a catcher, he wanted all 162 games. He didn't even know how to act when he was sitting on on his day off when Todd had to come in. And we only had 2 catchers. It was him and Todd Pratt. Right.
Sounds like Todd Pratt had an easy job.
Well, you would think, but it was, normally guys carry 3 catches, but that's how Bubba was. He didn't want to come out. And Todd was there, and Todd just was just a great guy to have right there in that position behind him.
Now, a more controversial person who your career didn't overlap with, and I think he probably was banned from baseball by the time you got in the league, was Pete Rose. And it sounds like you didn't know him personally, but you can relate to what sort of was thrown at players, and you can imagine what was thrown at players in the early to mid-'70s when this incident with the woman who's probably now menopausal occurred with Rose that has led to the current controversy. Any thoughts on that? Groupies, all that stuff?
Well, when you get into that, you have groupies in all the leagues, they're seasonal. So, you got football, you got basketball, you got baseball, you got golf, and
I didn't think about that.
Technically, these women, this become their profession. This is their way of life. And even I know sports, it's a little bit more under the microscope, but even in the real world, you got women that they even go after Donald Trump.
Right. We know about that.
Say the least. Yeah, the guys that are making money, they figure hey, I could get me a rich man instead of working at a McDonald's, anything of that nature. But in sports, you can easily be targeted because of the fan and because of the up and close personal relationship. So, with that being said, I don't know the details, and I think you mentioned it earlier that the Phillies postponed it. So until they probably gathered the information, and I think that could probably rightfully be so, because there's always going to be the yays and the nays.
Yeah.
But Pete, that I know of, that I met and shook his hand in clubhouses. Hey, like some people say, hey, this is a great guy. From what I've seen, hey, he's always been an approachable person. He's been good to me, and I know we all have negative sides. I've done some things that that was terrible that people had to forgive me. So, but with this is just something. This is not good timing for him.
Yeah, I've never heard about anything terrible you did. I've only heard good things about you, and I know you're a pretty religious guy. But hey, that's between you and whomever. Final question I have. In baseball this year, you played, the wild card came in the middle of your career. is there something a little wrong in a situation when the Dodgers may end up winning 113, 114 games this year and could well come out in the division series round of the playoffs? Obviously, it makes it a lot more interesting this year because they would just be running away with the division, and a lot of teams wouldn't be in it this year if it were the old way. But just any thoughts on that, like that, you know, in the postseason now, it seems like the team with the better record only wins 50% of the time.
I think it's awesome. I mean, because it gives everybody a chance. You know, you're not out of it. You know, back in '93 when we won it, you know, you out of it at All-Star breaks. You know, it cuts the guys' chances of coming up, getting more than a September call-up than it was, because some of the organizations, they knew they were out of it, so they can call up guys and give guys a little early 2 months of major league experience. Instead of just waiting to September. That's what it does do, in my opinion. But it really fills the seats up. It keeps you in it, and it goes all the way down to the wire, because some teams fall off, and the other team that was 6 games out wind up being right there. And you start seeing the way baseball is played. You know, hit and run, bunt, get them over, get them in, and the way that fundamentally sounds. So I love the wild card, and then we also get a chance to see the interleagues. That, I mean, when I played, only way we was gonna play the Cubs and the White Sox. Only way we was gonna see them play is in the World Series. But now they got the rival, they got the Cup. You know, so you know, and that's what makes baseball the American pastime, Adam. I mean, I love it. I think it's awesome.
At least you didn't have to face Randy Johnson that much at the start of your career, playing in the National League without interleague play. That's one bright side of it.
Well, I mean, the big unit, the Hall of Famer. You know, well, Roger was my teammate, so the Rocket. I mean,
when you were on the Red Sox.
Yeah, right. So,
face him.
yeah. So I mean, but that's what makes the game. I mean, because you know, that's the dream, Adam. You grow up and you see these guys, and you know, you wind up becoming teammates with them or facing them, and then you're in awe, but you got to face them and then make a living.
Yeah, Wes, I got to ask you one more question. I know I was supposed to let you go by now, but Lenny was outspoken last week when the Hall of Fame ceremony was going on, and saying the Hall of Fame is a joke because Bonds and Clemens aren't in it, essentially. What's your feeling about that?
I mean, the Hall of Fame, I mean, you have the writers, and they're entitled because they're the writers, and they vote you in. And I mean, technically, the numbers don't lie. Nobody goes out there. I mean, you have to hit the ball, you have to play. And I know that every ever has its negative things. You know, it has its you know, its downfalls. But I mean, you know, for the guys that was named and the guys that went to Congress or whatever, the guys who I feel that everybody is entitled. So I'm for those guys getting the opportunity, but I know the writers, they have their votes, and you know, it's like almost as like if you taking it you have to take it to the Supreme Court, you know. But those guys went out there, they pitched, they hit, they ran, they threw, they laid their life down, and I mean, for 15, 20 years, you know, everybody is not able to do that at that highest level, and for a guy to have the numbers, for the guys that have the number, I feel that, you know, they deserve it. And sometimes at the end of the balloting run, you know, some of the writers do change their opinion, and so that is one of my wishes, because those guys rightfully, I feel, deserve it, because they went out there, they got the numbers, and the Hall of Fame is about the numbers.
Yeah. Sammy Sosa will be a stickier issue because he didn't do quite as much pre-steroids era, but we won't touch that right now. Finally, how do people follow you on Twitter, and what is the name of your book on Amazon again?
Well, Twitter is just Wes Chamberlain 4 on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn, Wes Chamberlain, and the book, the title is called In the Game. It's volume 1 of 3. It's a 95-page read, real short, simple, and sweet, right to the point. And I hope everyone who picks up a copy just enjoy. It's just part 1 of my biography. And thank you, Adam.
I'm going to try to read it, and then I will have you back on the show. It's been really nice talking to you today, Wes Chamberlain.
Hey, thank you for having me, Adam Pax.
Okay. See ya.
All right, bye.